Well, g'day viewers. This is a little update. I did a video a few months back on a fluid damper and billeted pulley I got from Leroy Diesel in the States. Now I'll post this on the American Leroy Diesel forum so those can see. So I'm not sure how you guys do your crank angular sensor to get your tacho reading and so forth. But when we do engine modifications or car mods, like my 6.5 is in a Nissan Patrol, which I don't know what you guys call it in the States, but this is mainly for Australian viewers. Anyway, one of our problems is we have three ways of getting your tacho to work. And one's off the alternator and one's through the actual block into a sensor on the crankshaft, and one is the way which is done in mine. Now mine, very simply, there's your pulley wheel off. As you can see, the belt drives are in there. This is the stock ones, and I'm going to do the modification tomorrow, so I shall show you what's being done and how I'm getting around the issue, right? And this is the crank angular sensor. As you can see, it sits there, and the sensor actually just sits on the top, and as this spins around it picks up the reading for your tacho, and this being the harmonic balancer, the old one. So what happens is this all sits together like this on the end of your engine, right? And put that up. I'll try and move that forward, right, so you can get a bit of a better view of it on the camera. And yeah, so this is spinning around, and I have a sensor that sits just about there, right? And I believe they're magnetic sensors or whatever they are, and it picks up the pulses of all these little teeth on here as your engine's running. Now ordinarily I could just sacrifice and say, well, don't want a tacho anyway, and never worry about my RPMs. But I have some auxiliary gauges, and the part is those gauges have their own little chips in them, and as a result, for them to know whether the engine's running or not, it relies on the pulses from this tacho sensor and this angular sensor to going. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be modifying, put the harmonic balancer there, put this one there. I'm going to be modifying the pulley, the billeted pulley that I got from from Leroy Diesel. And if you're watching this, Leroy, I know it blows the warranty, but well, what are you going to do, right? I'm going to be modifying it. What I'm going to do, I'm actually going to take it into a machine shop tomorrow morning. I'm actually parked in my caravan right outside the machine shop, and I'm going to be doing some machining to this part here, right? And I'll show that tomorrow, and then I'll piece this video together. So this gives you an idea, and this is how I get around, so I can keep my tacho working, so therefore I can get my other gauges working, which rely on the tacho buddy pulsing reading coming through for it to know the engine is running. Otherwise I won't have that gauge anymore. Anyway, that'll do for tonight.
Good morning, guys. Well, it's the next morning now, and before I start taking things apart, we're currently in situ. Now what I've got to do is, that's my sensor working off the reluctor wheel that I showed before. It takes the angular sensor wheel, or whatever you want to call the damn thing. And what I've got to do, I've got a machine, try and get this in without shadowing, in here, and on this component. Never ever touch this. This is the important part. But when we do it, we've got to get our measurements right. And this, the face of the fluid damper or harmonic balancer, if you're working with that thing, right, that's our 0 point. So from here to here, that distance, that's important. And also the center of this sensor has a little protruding part. That's the part that actually takes the impulses and everything else off your off the angular sensor wheel and or gear, and I've got to get that measurement, and I can't get the exact measurement until I get this off, but everything comes off this face here, right? So it's important. Now I've already measured this with a set of vernier calipers, and that distance is 25.4 millimeters or 1 inch, and being an American product, it's usually an imperial size, so I checked that and it's exactly 1 inch. So I've got to get them right. As it says, I've got to get that right, because when I put a cut in here, I'm actually going to get a parting tool on a center lathe, and it will actually be cut out and therefore leave a spacer on this side here. I've got a drawing, I'll show that in a minute. And that's important, that I get that gap that I'll cut out to the exact same width, thickness as the angular sensor gear, and then it will all just go bang straight back in. And then if I get it right, so it's important to measure twice, cut once as the rule goes, right? This distance here will still be 1 inch. That groove will be exactly in the center of, to line up with that there, and then the serpentine belt will be lined up correctly. Otherwise we're going to chew out serpentine belts every 5 seconds, and we don't want that. Furthermore, this is our drawing. I made a drawing up of this, and this might help explain it a bit better. If I get my pointer pen out, one pointer pen. This being the fluid damper. Now this is the part, as I said, cannot touch this at all. This must never be machined or anything else, otherwise you're going to just throw away a lot of money, right? But this here is the pulley wheel. That's where your buddy serpentine belt runs on. And this here is the sensor, and there's the protruding section just sticking out there, right? And I have measured it, and I will re-measure it once I've got this pulley wheel off to confirm, right? It's 9mm to that center line. Now, as I said previously, this here, that center line there, now that part that I've got measured is 6mm as noted. Now that 6mm, where did I get that from? That's the thickness of this reluctor wheel, or angular sensor wheel, right? So that's going to be there, and that's going to leave a bit of material here left over. That's going to then be a spacer. So when I put it all back together, that'll still be 25mm or 25.4mm. It'll actually be 1 inch, right? And I'll rectify that. 1 inch, and we'll put an arrow up to there, right? And then we just put the 4 bolts back together. They'll go through there, job done, connected, and she shall be working, and my gauges will start working again along with my tacho, which will be nice. Hey viewers, here we are on the centre lathe, which you can't see fuck all at the moment. This is Campbell, this is my centre lathe technician. It makes the sound more flash, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah, fitter machine the same as me, but he actually knows what he's doing because he still does it and I don't. Right, and this is what we're going to be doing. Right, we now have it up there. We'll rip a parting tool in there, cut that off, have a spacer on there, job done. I'll film that in slow-mo, so it'll be done, too easy. Yeah, all the parties that can grab also. Voila. Now viewers, alright, this is, we're still doing some finishing cuts up yet. As you can see, it just needs to be tidied up a little bit. Spigot becomes a bit longer, and that will allow for the gear to go over top. And as you can see, Campbell there is now turning what was just a the face of the, you're moving it around too much, Campbell. The face of the pulley, right, which has now become a spacer for us. So let's go. There we go, viewers. One pulley wheel out, machine down. Spigot is substantially longer, as you see there. I shall put the crank angle sensor gear on. Tap it down, come on. There she is, on there. We then put spacer in place, bolt it all together, and the spigot only has that tiny little bit sticking out. And yeah, the spigot has that tiny little bit sticking out, and then we can put the whole assembly back together. Job done, hopefully. And there we go, job done. Tacho's working, and the gauge that is currently reading 44 in blue, which when I think it's 65 or something, or 60, turns yellow, which is operational temperature. That's the gauge that was important. And if we go over here, you can see the tacho's working.
onto the car and you can have a look at it running before I start put bash plates back in place and see what I've done on the underside. There we go, guys, on the underside. Hopefully you can hear it over the engine rumbling. Move around a little bit. As you see, the sensor on the left, I've got fanned over there because for obvious reasons. Sensor on the left working on that wing here. And anyway, car's back to running normal. Got all my instrumentation, all the extra gauges going, which is important because that one that was blue with the 44 written on there, it will turn to yellow. It has a little beeper on there as well, so if the temperature does get too high, or the water, I develop a water leak, I have a little alarm built into that thing, kind of rips off, grabs my attention, turn the engine off before I bloody cook it. Job done.